So, hello. Actually, I have to say that it's much better to stay on that side of the room where you are right now, not to stand here, but I think I can manage. So, hello, my name is Liisa Lints, and I have been asked to come here and to talk about a little bit the practice of youth workers in supporting youth participation. And what are the main topics that we are talking today is what is youth workers' role in supporting young people's political participation, what are the main obstacles that they face today, and what youth workers need to better support youth participation. But first of all, I would like to tell you about a little bit about myself, about my background. I have been active in the field of youth work for 15 years, mostly as a practitioner in various positions in the youth center, like a youth center's youth worker, and also as a youth center coordinator. The last 8 years I have been working in a school as a school youth worker and also as a class teacher. And currently I am working in the Ministry of Education and Research and in the Youth and Talent Policy Department, where my main topics are international youth policy and NEET, young people. So those young people who doesn't work or study currently. So I'm also a member of Estonian Association of Youth Workers. That is the only association in Estonia that is connecting youth work specialists. And my main topic in our organization was also how to support school youth workers and how to integrate them into our organization's life. I have a master's degree from Tallinna University in youth work management, and my master thesis was titled The Willingness of the Youth Worker to Address Issues Related to Political Participation with Young People. And I have this master thesis name in Estonia also for Estonians. And okay. So, the presentation is mostly based on my master thesis, and my master thesis supervisor was Ilona Evelin Rannala, and the objective of the study was to describe and understand the readiness of youth workers in supporting political participation among young people. And the method was 4 semi-structured focus group interviews involving youth center youth workers, local government youth work specialists, and also school youth workers. And the number of participants was 15 youth work specialists total. And the research part was carried out in the framework of the Tallinna University project, Increasing Youth Participation. So, let's start. From the beginning. So, thinking about this, we first need to talk about how youth workers understand political participation in the first place. In my work, youth workers highlighted political participation as the right of young people to have a say in societal processes. And they generally understand political participation through formal forms of participation, in which support for young people is part of their daily work. So, for example, participation in elections, youth councils, political parties were mentioned as formal forms of participation. Youth councils were mentioned in all focus groups, but elections only in one. And through the interviewers' clarifying question, alternative forms of participation were also brought out. Social media, memes, street art, protesting. In part, these new ways were also seen as political participation, but what mattered was the purposefulness of the activity. So whether it is a one-time activity or a belief, whether the name is placed under the picture or the activity is anonymous. And what was interesting aspect about social media was the fact that youth workers do understand that young people use social media for participation, but despite of that, they were rather more cautious of using new environments because they did not want to get into an awkward situation. And they rather wanted to use existing those environments where they feel safe. Thinking more broadly, this may also indicate a low level of digital competence, or maybe youth workers do not see the need to learn new environments. So, first of all, we should talk about the role of youth workers in supporting youth participation. The first one is safe environment. Youth participation is supported by a safe environment where young people dare to speak up and feel that their thoughts and ideas are going to work. In 2 interviews, the importance of ensuring a safe environment was spoken directly, like school youth workers and local government youth work specialists, and in others through activities. This may be due to the more non-formal environment of the youth center, which by its nature may already be safer for young people. In schools and as a local government office official, the work environment is more formal, and you have to encouraging youth participation requires maybe a special attention. School youth workers also pointed out that they understand the importance of youth participation, but considered it rather difficult to ensure alone a school environment that promotes participation. In this case, it may happen that the school youth worker has to direct most of his researches to work with adults and increase their awareness, and the attention to the guidance of young people will be significantly less. The second role is to be the link between young people and decision makers, which a youth worker as a safety net that allows young people to act, who helps them to understand the functioning of local decision-making processes, and who provide support, bring together young people and decision makers. I think that this role can be difficult because combining the wishes and needs of different target groups, youth workers need a really good negotiation skills for doing that. And it also requires a constant reminder that young people's needs are being taken into account, especially in the stressful situations. When I'm thinking about my job as a school youth worker, then I have to say that being a mentor of school council was the most challenging part of my job, and it was because being between the school board member and youth, it was difficult because the understanding of the role of young people was rather difficult. I think that it was difficult to persuade adults to take young people as equal partners. Being a role model was also highlighted to be an active contributor to society and to motivate young people through it. Okay, I will drink a little bit. So, what about barriers? I think that If we are talking about how youth workers see the role in supporting young people's political participation, there are also some barriers, obstacles that complicates this role. And the first one is that young people are not taken as an equal partner and are often involved in minor issues. And their opinion is not taken into account in decision-making processes. In my master thesis, youth workers thought that young people are part of the political space and that it is important to involve them in all the debates and all the issues, not just so-called youth issues. It can be said that young people's civic skills in adulthood can be influenced by the experience gained as a young person. If the opinion of young people has no weight, then they may not be inclined to participate in social processes also as adults. If we think that youth workers see the role as a bridge and mentor between young people and decision makers, then this kind of involvement of young people can also damage the relationship of trust between the youth worker and the young person. And I think that if young person feels that nothing depends on his decision, the next time it will be much more difficult to involve him. And the master thesis pointed out the need for joint training programs aimed to young people and decision makers. This would give young people a better view of the functioning of local government systems, and I think that such meetings can also lead decision makers to re-evaluate prejudices related to young people, and maybe they notice them as active cooperation partners. But I think that if we are talking about meaningful involvement of young people, I think right now it is an important topic in the local and international level, and there are more and more positive examples also how this is done. And I think that if we are talking about youth participation, there is always a question how to involve a larger number of young people in the decision-making processes, as the previously mentioned modes of participation typically attracts very active and engaged youth. The next important aspect from my master thesis is that youth workers perceive pressure to direct young people into formal forms of participation. The interviews also revealed a failure to meet these expectations. By introducing some background, that the work of the Youth Council has been highlighted as an important aspect in the Estonian Youth Work Act, as well as the Estonian Youth Sector Development Plan 2021 until 2035. One of the indicators of the implementation of the development plan is the number of functional participation groups. And this data is monitored all over Estonia. It is possible that youth workers feel pressured for this reason. I think that there is also a certain contradiction in how youth workers see their role in supporting youth participation and what is expected of them. Expectation is to direct young people to formal forms of participation, but the main role, based on my work, was ensuring a safe environment where the needs and wishes of young people are taken into account. So the role of youth worker requires a focus on the needs of young people, but the expectations can put youth worker in a certain situation and reduce his autonomy. So a youth worker has the role of a youth council mentor, but what is his readiness and preparation to fulfill this role? It seems that to fulfill this role, youth workers need additional knowledge and training programs about youth councils to increase their skills and preparedness in dealing that topic. The next thing is youth workers feel alone in supporting participation. They feel that there are certain expectations that must be met, but there is no support for the process. From the interviews of the master thesis, it can be said that on the one hand, local policymakers see youth workers in their own opinion as specialists in their field who can cope with the involvement of young people, who have professional methods and ways of doing so. So I think that they should be confident professionals who doesn't have to wait for approval. There is definitely a need to increase cooperation. Maybe the role of a mentor can be divided between several youth workers, which gives the opportunity to get support and discuss topics with other youth workers. Also, maybe support for organizations who are connecting with youth workers and bring together maybe specialists in their field for discussions. The next one was young people's lack of interest in formal political participation forms. That was also one topic that youth workers mentioned in my work. It can be said that this is a broader challenge that we are facing today, and it's kind of priority issue in Estonia and also in a European level. Youth workers also said that decision-making processes are very regulated and slow-functioning. Regarding closure, it can be considered that adults who are working in the government are immersed in the system daily, and they may not notice or understand that young people lack prior experience. In this context, there is a good there we have to think about youth workers' role can raise awareness among young people about these processes and serve as a mentor. And I think that, and the youth workers said also that decision-making processes are also relatively slow, while young people want to see changes quickly. So this can result in situations where by the time a decision is implemented, the young people who initiated it have already moved on to other matters. So, what youth workers need to better support youth participation? I would point out the insecurity of youth workers in dealing with issues relating to political participation. The practice of youth workers includes discussions and activities, but they doubt their ability to do it in the right way. They think that they have lack of knowledge and skills. I think that they would need training in order to increase knowledge and to jointly understand the concept of political participation. One interesting example in the practice of school youth workers, there was, for example, a very different approach to elections. In some schools, no individuals with a political background are allowed into the school several months before elections. However, I think that young people spend a significant portion of their time in the school environment. So I think it's very important to address policy-related issues also in the school environment. This should be done thoughtfully and on the principle of equality. Why not in cooperation with various partners? Also, meetings to exchange experiences with other professionals in the field and discuss already existing practices. Since based on my interviews, youth workers see society in general as a supporter of youth participation. School, parents, policymakers, kindergartens. So this is a good basis for joint cooperation between fields. In order not to finish my presentation with only the keywords that need to be developed, I would also point out what motivates youth workers. Mainly it is the activities carried out by the young people themselves. From the interviews, it became apparent that the motivation of youth workers is to do their job well so that young people can be active contributors to society. And I think that's also the purpose why we are here today. So, thank you.